This morning in our Sunday Spotlight, Breeze Airways announces it'll soon be taking flight out of Tweed New Haven Airport. That announcement made last week, and this morning the founder and CEO of Breeze is joining us. Welcome, David Neeleman.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Eric.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. I want to ask you about Tweed. Why that airport? I know it's going to start with Fort Myers December 10th, Orlando, West Palm, and Vero Beach right after that, and 6 more next February. Why does Tweed make sense for Breeze?
You know, from day one, we started flying out of Harvard. Well, let me just back up. I lived in Connecticut for over 20 years. I raised all my family there. I love Connecticut. We lived in Fairfield County. We were close to the Westchester Airport. I can't tell you the number of times I drove by New Haven or went to New Haven to either speak at Yale or go to a football game for my sons or whatever. So I'm very well acquainted with that area. And you know, there's limited availability out of Westchester Airport, and you know, New Haven just presented this opportunity to us. We have Hartford. We have 24 destinations out of Hartford. It was like I said, one of our very first destinations. And so as we looked at kind of serving that Fairfield County area, that area all around New Haven, it just made tons of sense to be able to add additional service out of there. You know, for all those folks that are driving down to JFK or LaGuardia, and you never know what you're going to come up with as far as traffic goes, and the stress of delays out of there, and air traffic delays and automobile delays, and all of the hassle with those two airports. It's just much better to be at a smaller airport like Westchester or Tweed or even Hartford.
Well, when you get people, and I know, we've had flights, Velo's been running flights out of Tweed for a while now. I live down at the shoreline, so I know many people who have flown out of there to various destinations out of Tweed. And many people say the same thing. They say, I got there and I can't believe this is the airport. I mean, I think they literally might have 3 metal detectors in use at the entire airport. Is there an infrastructure concern, or have you been told that there's new stuff coming? Because, there's people being concerned about parking, about infrastructure. There's the long-time complaints from neighbors about noise and runway length and things like that. So you're a Connecticut guy. How does that play into your calculus?
Well, they have plans to expand the runway and to expand the terminal, and so there was some space there, a limited amount, so we decided to take advantage of that. Obviously, we are very conscious of neighbors, and our plane is the newest generation plane in the sky. It's really the quietest plane. We've committed to kind of have flights not before 7 a.m. or after 10 p.m. arrivals. Obviously, if they're running a little late, that could happen from time to time. But we're conscious. We want to be good neighbors, and so with a little bit of noise and less noise with our airplanes come great service and more options. Velo is a great airline. They're doing great things, but we have a different airline. We're differentiated. We have all kinds of offerings for food that you can get on the airplanes that you can buy. We have first class, obviously comes with free Wi-Fi and free food, and then you have extra legroom seats. And so we really have a differentiated product that people absolutely love, and they love flying Breeze. We have really high NPS scores, and so I think people are going to really enjoy flying Breeze. And having a Velo too is great. It's the more the merrier for people who live in Connecticut. And they don't have to get down to New York to catch a flight, and that's really good news for everybody.
Well, I can tell you, I've flown one of your flights out of Bradley, and I know you're expanding there as well. So what is it about that model? And you talked a little bit about it, but maybe for our viewers who have not flown a Breeze flight, tell us a little bit about what they can expect and why it works so well in Connecticut. Like you said, 24 routes and some expansion coming to Bradley, now new service out of Tweed. Is it something just about what you're offering? Is it something about the Connecticut market? Is it a combination of both, David?
Yeah, a lot of people who live in Connecticut love being there. It's a great state. A lot of people work in New York City, catching the New Haven line, like I've done many hundreds of times. And so it's you have all the advantages of living in Connecticut, but air service, it wasn't one of those advantages, and you had to kind of go to New York to have the most amount of flights. And so when you go on our you get our app and you go on and book our flights. It's really simple. It's very self-explanatory. And the reason people love us so much is that we'll offer you a really low fare. If you want to take that really low fare, great. You can take it. And then we'll say, hey, for an extra $40 or $50, if you want to have an extra legroom seat, have everything included, have free Wi-Fi on the plane, you can do that. Or if you want to go first class, there's an upgrade. So it's really an upgraded bundle program that people really like. That there's no nickel and diming along the way. You just get what you're with your bundle, and having kind of a configuration where you have 2 and 3 in the back. So there's only 1 middle seat per row instead of 2. And then you have 16 first class seats, and then we have 45 seats on the airplane that have extra legroom seats. So you can pick and choose what you want. And our folks do a great job taking care of our guests, and I know people are gonna really love flying Breeze.
Well, we have about a minute left, but I just want to get your take as somebody who's so plugged in. Do you think that this Breeze model that we've seen be very successful here in Connecticut, is that the future? Because it's certainly different than what we saw from some of these legacy carriers for many years. Are you confident that this is a more successful approach, or do they exist side by side?
Obviously, you've got the legacy carriers, and the legacy carriers, they don't serve small cities direct. They basically force you through a hub. And so that's kind of what's been going on. With the ULCCs, like Spirit, Frontier, they've tried to compete head-to-head with the big guys, but their product just doesn't match up. So they're really struggling. You're reading about, stock prices are down. They're really struggling. I think our model is just right in the middle. We're perfect. Kind of a Goldilocks model where we can take you nonstop. We can give you those niceties of first class and being able to have free Wi-Fi and other things like that. And so it's not ULCC. We call it an NLCC, the nice low-cost carrier, and that's why I think we've found a really great formula, and it's working great.
Well, like I said, a lot of people have flown it out of Bradley. Now people have the opportunity in a few months to fly it out of Tweed as well. David Neeleman from Breeze Airways, thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to having you back.
Thank you so much for having me on.
And that is CT24 for this week. CBS Sunday Morning, of course, is coming up next. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll, of course, meet you back here in Studio A next Sunday morning.